Hey guys, if you like this content, I would greatly appreciate it if you guys like the video and subscribed to my channel. It helps make these videos worth it going forward. Hey guys, Altcoin Sherpa here with a crypto market review. As always, this is not financial advice. I am not an expert. Do your own research. Okay, so today I just want to go through 4 different trades that I am looking at right now. I'm actually currently in this one, so that's like, as I said, not financial advice, but I am in this trade right now, so that's a disclaimer. I'm short AXS. I shorted this, what I perceive to be a bearish retest around $41, and I believe that price is heading lower. I fibbed out this entire move, and in my experience, the 0.38 is an area that's almost certainly going to get tapped, or it's just about gotten tapped already back in late June. And I believe actually that the 0.5 area is kind of like the next area up after this level gets broken down. This trade is a little bit more clear to me on lower time frame charts. As you can see, there's several EMAs that I used, but I'll use this red one. The red one is the 200 EMA on the 4-hour. Usually pretty confluent with pretty good support, and this $28, $29 level is kind of an area of interest for myself. As I said, I already got short around the high 41s, and I will be scaling out anywhere from maybe like the $30 to like $28 area. That's like kind of like my initial targets. I'm really going to keep an eye on BTC and ETH. If ETH starts to look bad, then I'll just keep holding my short down to like $22, but there's still quite a bit of time in between now and then. For now, I'll just be probably starting to close around $32, but a potential trade setup that you can take as of right now, like I'm not telling you to blindly short right now. This area still is kind of like a support area. As you can see here, it already got tapped once, but you know, this area has already been tapped once with a kind of weak reaction. I'm expecting like maybe a short-term bounce, and then we'll see some lower moves. So if you get the opportunity, I think that shorting something like $40 would be pretty good, but we might have already seen that with the spike up to 39. My orders unfortunately did not get filled around 40, like low 40s. I wanted to add to my position, but it didn't happen. So it is what it is. Just going to ride with what I have. So I think that shorting something like $40 would be decent. Additionally, I think that buying somewhere around 28 would be reasonable, at least for a short-term bounce. I am not positive if this would be a full-term reversal. I think it's unlikely. I think it's something likely that it goes something like this, and then like hits like some sort of lower high, and then maybe like consolidates and chops around for a while. But I do think that like a lower high is certainly like viable. So like a move from 28 to 40 or so. I've had good experience with trading in between fibs in this regard. So that's like another trade setup you can take, is trying to long around 28 or so. And your stop loss would be like underneath like this level if you are longing. I think that the trade seems pretty clear with like invalidation. Like, you know, if price just goes, I mean, price could certainly go down to 22 or so, but in that case, the entire market's probably nuking down. So you probably don't want any altcoin exposure at that point. So that's like trade number 1, is either shorting like $40 and then going down to like 28, or potentially longing 28 with a target of around, I don't know, 35 to 40 or so, depending on what the entire market environment is like. That's kind of like my overall thoughts for AXS. I am already short right now though. So let's look at Luna. Here's another potential short. I'm going to go with 2 shorts and then 2 longs. So this is an area of resistance that is approaching for Luna. I'm actually waiting patiently, hoping that my bids get filled. I strongly believe that this area will be a good supply zone, or a good shorting area. The reason is that price hasn't tapped this area for many months. Usually the longer time spent in between each tap of a level, the higher likelihood that level will act as strong resistance on the first tap. There's still like orders probably set, and there's also, you know, like I don't know all of the psychology behind like why these supply zones exist, but I do think that there's probably even like a lot of break even sell like, or I'm sorry, a lot of buyers up in this area. Anywhere like around $15 who bought in like April and May, who are like waiting to get out at break even. There's like people that from lower that are looking to probably take profit. But I mean, regardless, this area is like a supply zone. So I feel that this 15, like anywhere from 14 to like kind of 17 or $16 is really a decent area to short. And I will be watching this very closely. I am going to start filling some shorts as it gets up to like $15 or so. I'll probably even high 14s. I'll kind of look. This is incredibly bullish. Don't get me wrong. Like this move was really good, but I think that this is still like a pretty good opportunity. Invalidation, you could maybe take something like this where your invalidation is above kind of like these highs around 17. But again, like you kind of need to probably size down because like you might be underwater for a little while depending on like your risk management. But I mean, and how tight you want your stops. Like the thing is like this could keep going higher to like 17 and kind of go to these wicks, and then like your idea is still valid in my opinion. So like I think that I'll be taking this one here and just like having like somewhat of a loose stop and just like having like asks all throughout this area. So that's kind of like my overall plan for Luna. I think that going down to like $10 is like pretty likely if this starts pulling back hard. And another note is that Luna like led a lot of altcoins like in terms of the recovery process. Like this is something that I've like been envisioning for months now. I actually thought this was going to happen back in like July, and it did not happen at all. But like I was pretty confident that this type of price action would come for a lot of different altcoins, especially coins that are strong like Luna. Like you'll see like this kind of accumulation period all throughout May, June, and July, and then price expanding up, making some sort of lower high, and then pulling back. That's kind of like what I expected. Even back in like June, is like I was waiting for the move, and it just like never happened. So like I was just like filling bags and just waiting, and like not really doing a whole lot in June and July, just buying a lot of coins and like expecting for the lower highs to come. But that's kind of like not all altcoins will look like this because they're not all going to be as strong as Luna. But I think this is like a pretty good short opportunity. I would keep my stops around $17 is kind of where I would look. Solana. Okay, so Solana. Now this one's a little bit harder to say because it's not so clear to me in terms of like the market structure. Like this could still just be like an overall range environment. But what you saw before is that Solana, like many other coins, has kind of like hit this bearish market structure where it hit lower highs, lower lows. Like you can see this low, and then like obviously the high is up here. Around $57, and then it spiked all the way down. But what we might have just seen in late July is like a higher low, so the potential market structure break. I would like to see a higher high to confirm it. So if price breaks $38, then I think that at this point you can start to assume that there may be a market structure break. So if it goes to like $41 or so, at that point I think buying a dip is fairly safe. I would assume that a higher low would be created. Now, where that higher low is, I honestly have no idea. Like it could go as low as like $27 or so, or even potentially lower. But I think at that point, if this makes a higher high, I would like to see price make some sort of higher low. Now, as I said, this trade is a little bit confusing because it's possible that this is just like a big consolidation zone and these are just deviations like from the range. you know, there's certainly a pretty decent argument that you can make is that and even like the range high is at 42. So what you would look for at this point is just like kind of like something like this, where you know, you see price and just in this large range where price is just like chopping around. Like maybe 42 is a little bit high. Like you might want something. It's really going to be telling what the reaction is around 38. If price breaks 38 pretty soundly, then I think that this would be considered a higher high, because I do denote this like as like a high personally. You know, highs take a long time to form, as this one did. It took like over a week. And you know, highs and lows take a long time to form usually. Like, you know, this is another high. But if this breaks 38 soundly, then I feel more confident that the higher high on the daily looks pretty valid. So at that point, another trade that you could potentially take is buying the low, wherever that low is formed. You generally have a few days for lows to form in most market environments. Like these were like quick wick downs or quick wicks down, so you can't really buy these unless you already have the order set and like you are pretty confident about like the overall environment. But I think that it's more traditional where you would see a low formed over a few days and price kind of like goes up to like 41 and then dips down to like 28 or something like that, and then like forms some sort of higher low. That, in my opinion, would be another trade opportunity that you could take. Invalidation would be below kind of like this demand zone that I marked right here. Because if this gets broken, then like the lows again around 22 should come. So like that seems pretty likely. But you know, this area would be confluent with a 200-day EMA. It's been pretty good over the last 3 times it's been tapped. But again, this trade is a little bit less. I'm a little bit less confident just because of this still being a ranging environment. It's still a little bit confusing to me. But to me, this is like something that I'm definitely eyeing. Lastly would be RUNE. RUNE is very strong right now. RUNE was like the bottom was at like 350 or so because of all the exploits. Price like just dumped, but you could tell that those dumps were being they were getting absorbed, and like incredible volume like came out too, like on the daily. And you can see like this volume just like going really strong. So in my opinion, RUNE USD I think is fairly bottomed out given the volume. Like you generally see bottoms have like this insane volume, and this is like kind of what this like rounded bottom that we're seeing for RUNE. Now this is a good point of resistance, both with the 200-day EMA, this red line. Like I think it's likely that this pulls back, but I do think that this is like an area where you can consider buying the dip. What I would envision for something like RUNE would be something like a cup and handle to form, where price, you know, hits this area around almost like 770, and like I sold I think mid sevens or so. I still am exposed to RUNE for sure though. Like I still have like the bulk of my position, but I will be compounding this one, and I think that like pulling back to something like the mid fives and then going up is like an idea that I'm looking for. So like, you know, fundamentally this is still like a good project in my opinion, but obviously they kept fucking up with the exploits. But I'm gonna have my bids all throughout kind of like this $5 to maybe $6 region, and just assume that these lows will hold, and that this insane volume is not just like a bearish retest. Like it's certainly possible this is just a bearish retest, but with this crazy volume, I expect this to have more follow-up. So again, it wouldn't really surprise me to see this start going and breaking up this like residual sell side liquidity up there. So that's kind of another trade I'm expecting. This is like more of a swing trade where I'll just average in from 5 to 6 and look to sell again in like $10 or so. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, and please let me know what you think.